We are the true masters of the Earth sphere. Hey, welcome everybody to the Two Deaf Podcast. First one of its kind, first one in history. This is Raphael, and I'm here with my boy John. We are out here doing a little podcast there just to try to help people out during this time, give them a little something to talk about, something to do. I guess I'll bring in John now. What's up?
Hey, what's up, man?
Mm.
It's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm John, aka J Poet. I am the CEO of Two Deaf Gaming. Um, Me and my partner here, Raphael, aka Sleepwalker, we're getting our podcast going. We're going to try to make this a weekly thing. Um, it's the first time we've done any podcasts. Of course, this is kind of what we do in our everyday life, anyways. Sit around and talk about video games. So this should go pretty smooth as long as we can stay on course. I don't think an hour is going to be too hard to get through. But we're going to open this up to any questions. So I know it's listed that we're playing Doom just because that's the only way that Streamlabs would let us go ahead and post it. But if you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And we'll try to get to them as quick as possible.
And let's be
And
real,
we
we are all playing a little Doom right now.
it's the doom of society.
Yeah, it's what we've all been waiting for, but we didn't think there would be so much sweatpants.
So what you been doing during the quarantine there, Sweet?
Dude, not much really. I mean, I'm still working. They still got me working since I work from home, so I've just been doing like ridiculous
The
amounts of
doom of
overtime
society.
because they like took the cap off and then just said, "Hey, go crazy, guys, overtime to the cows come home." So I'm doing that. Me and my girl have been kicking it, me and Kia, and then I playing video games in the meantime when I get the chance.
Oh, here you, man. Here you go. I've
What you been up to?
kind of been the opposite of you, really. My company has been so kind as to give me some quarantine pay, so I got 160 hours of pay time off to be able to stay home with my family. So it's definitely been a blessing. It's coming to an end though, so I have to go back on Monday back to work. I've been pretty much full time dad mode. Anybody who's friends with me on Facebook's been keeping track of the quarantine chronicles, I'm sure, but I got two young daughters, so they are keeping me busy. I'm trying to come up with something new and creative every day. Kind of taking back some odes to my childhood with some stuff that I'm trying to get them to do, and we're having a lot of fun. I've been playing some Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. I am deeply addicted to it. Whenever the boss lady wife lets me play, and
She
other than
should
that,
get
it's
into that, man. She should get into
been
that.
Mister Momming it up.
She should get into more games, man. You might
Well,
find.
the story with that is I've been trying to talk this woman in a decade trying to play video games with me,
Mhm.
and the only one I can finally talk her into playing was Wii Bowling, and the woman dominates me every single time we play.
Maybe I was talking to you a little bit earlier about getting board game simulator. Maybe she might be a little bit more into that since it's board games and it's really the only way you can play games with your friends right now.
Well, she does play board games, so we play board games all the time. As you know, we play Rummy Cube and Monopoly and poker and um, Phase 10, Bananagrams.
All
Games like that. We play,
board
we play those quite often. We're definitely a board game family.
Yeah, I like board
But
games myself, but I mean at this time, the only way you could do them was virtually.
well, it's all gaming. I love me some good board games and tabletop games. We do that more often with friends around here. That I haven't really got her to switch over to the video game variety, but she'll play some board games. I mean, she's pretty good at them too. She schooled me in Rummy Cube last night. Matter of fact.
Oh, nice. At least you got some sort of gaming going on. I think everybody at heart is a bit of a gamer.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
think everyone is. Especially, I mean, even my dad played Mario 3, and
Yeah.
when he was younger, he was the um, you know you need to find something better to do than video games, that kind of guy. And these days, he's one of the most supportive people of 2Death Gaming. So it's been very cool watching his growth too.
It's funny. My mom used to play Mario back in the day. You would like kind of obsessively. I was like, oh wow, dude, she just like kick you off the Nintendo, start playing Mario. At that
Again, it's
point,
time for bed, boys. It's time for bed.
it's time for bed. I'm trying to beat level 8. Like, and so Dr. Mario was really good. Like, she really liked that. And that's
Yep.
probably the last time she played video games. She tried to play the new Mario, and she almost had a heart attack.
Mario 3 on the NES was the last one my dad played. And he got so into that game that he was sitting on the ground with his back against the wall, and he
Mm-hmm.
kept dying in one spot. And he got mad, like pushed himself back against the wall and broke a hole in the drywall.
That's some real stuff, though. That's real pain right there, dog.
Anybody knows my dad. He's quite the large man, so you can tell he was into it. But I think he'll play like Big Buck Hunter or something. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
That's about it.
that's fine. I mean, that's why they make those games for people who don't like the traditional stuff. I'm a bit into indie games. Me, like I haven't. I don't. I play the newer games that have come out, but I'm just been really more into indies. I've played those for so much longer.
Yeah, I when I was younger, I was all about first person games, or single player games. But in the last 10 years of my life or 15 years of my life, I've played pretty much exclusively first person shooters, and I've been trying to change that and get more into single player games again.
Mm-hmm.
Like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Witcher 3 and all them, and I'd start them and I'd get through a chapter and then I'd be kind of bored with it. I recently did beat Jedi Fallen Order. That was a great game. I played it start to finish and beat it, and I'm right smack in the middle of this Breath of the Wild, and I'm loving life.
Yeah.
I think I have Call of Duty to help with that because I'm just kind of so done with Call of Duty and the battle royale modes and all that kind of stuff. I just don't want to mess with it, so I end up finding some of these other games.
I know. I feel you. It's a pacing issue with me, and honestly, I don't want to have to wait to get back into a game after dying once. Like I just doesn't really sit well with me. I'm not digging it either. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, let's talk a little bit about Two Death. Two Death right
Let's,
now.
We'll get into the meat and potatoes, guys. I know a lot of people who, if you're a viewer of this podcast or you listen to this podcast, you probably already have a general idea of what 2Death Gaming is. So we won't get too much into the meat and potatoes of it all. But when it comes down to it, guys, is 2Death Gaming is just an organization that we're creating to support all things gaming. Me and Raphael, we've been friends for a long time. We've always played video games together. We've always been gamers. But we see an opportunity here in Louisville and our surrounding areas. Esports is one of the fastest growing sports in the entire world, and it's completely underrepresented here in our region. So we wanted to change that. There's kids making $3 million in a Fortnite tournament, and there's nobody here to, find the next great player in Louisville to move them up to the big leagues and into the competitive gaming world and kind of be their springboard into that scene. So that's kind of what we're wanting to do. We also, we throw these social events, which has been a big hit so far, and just kind of get gamers together and just have a good time and hang out. We've made a lot of really cool partners and a lot of really good friends and some sponsorships from some companies, and we really got it rolling. Unfortunately, with the whole quarantine and the COVID-19 outbreak, we've unfortunately had to postpone our launch party. We were full steam ahead with it, and we've had to postpone it. We don't know the date yet. We're gonna wait for all this to blow over. But in the meantime, we still got things going on. We still got this podcast, and we're doing more online content. We have our keep your ass at home game night coming up on Friday.
Yes,
You
please
guys can
keep your
check out
ass
our
at home.
please do keep your ass at home.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys come check out our page. Right, join the Discord page and then come holler at us Friday. We're gonna get everybody we can together, play some games together, and we get enough people, we'll break off some tournaments and maybe win some prizes and do some giveaways. So
Hopefully,
we're looking forward to that.
at least, people can find somebody to play, game with, because sometimes people have that off game or something like that. They want to have somebody to play with, and it's a good place to try to find somebody to get in on that online action. Because
Oh, for sure.
that's because I'd like to play a game of Divinity Original Sin. I know that's kind of a long game, but I'd like to at least start a campaign with a few people and stuff. Maybe you can meet up once a week and do that. Because I mean, what else are we doing?
Right. Well, these social events and stuff like that. I mean, we have a pretty large base already. I mean, we're coming up on 2,200 followers on our page, and our group has almost 350. And I know most of them personally in the group side, not necessarily the page side, but and but they don't know each other. So some people are a little bit more socially awkward or don't want to step out of their comfort zone and introduce themselves or invite someone to their game or what have you. So I'm hoping this online game night is really kind of taking opportunity out of chaos, and we can all get to know each other better and kind of help grow this community, because at the end of the day, this grassroots gaming community in Louisville is what is going to be our bloodline. It's what's going to be our soul in this 2Def gaming business. So anything we can, to work with other local groups and other local gaming groups and stuff like that, and get everyone on board and everyone to know each other and have a real sense of community. And that's really how we're going to make a difference.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. I think fostering community is probably the single best thing we can do at this time. Really kind of bringing ourselves together and looking out for each other. And, whether it be online gaming or just online in general, trying to really grow relationships.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's really what it's all about. I see James Hill's watching. What's up, James Hill? Going on, Hill Dog?
Yeah, I think he may have already left, but he was here.
He'd be a good guest on our next podcast. Be pretty fun.
I don't know about that. And so
I got faith in you, Unc. I got faith in you.
we might have to go to the censors. Like we're gonna have to talk to them. We're gonna have to talk to the
That's
board
all.
on
That's
that.
no, but everybody is listening, man. If you guys are looking for something to do, I know it's kind of short notice. I have a buddy of mine, Michael Roby, who's been constantly asking me, "Hey, let's have a 1 versus 1 gunfight tournament on Call of Duty. Let's do it. Let's do it." So I told him if he can get enough people, then we will have it.
Yeah, we get enough people for. I mean, what is it in? What game?
The gunfight will be in Call of Duty Modern. So to be like 1 versus 1, gunfight is a mode where you start with a random weapon, and each kill that you get a new progression of weapons. So then the first person who works their way all the way through all the weapons wins.
Okay, all right, that sounds dope. Now I don't have Call of Duty, but I'd like to see one of those go down.
Well, we had a couple companies make some sponsor donations to TUDEF for our launch party giveaways. But since the launch party is still kind of up in the air, we don't even know if, I got a vacation schedule. Well, we've already canceled one vacation in April. We have another one scheduled in July, and we don't even know if we're going to be able to do it. So, knowing that we don't even know if we'll have vacations being able to go to in July, it's, who knows when the launch party is going to happen. So we may be able to use some of those sponsor donations for the winnings of the tournament.
Yeah, maybe
So,
give out a little door prize or something for somebody who gets to the end. We can also have a fighting game tournament as well. That's always good to hook up. There's Smash Brothers, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, and I think most of them have a tournament mode in there.
so James says Goldberg's in the house. Austin just joined and said that they can only hear me.
We can only hear you. All right. Well, hold on. Hold on. Let's try this. Let's try this real fast. Can you hear me now?
Austin, you still with us, bro? Let me know in the comments.
Yeah, let me know, Austin. Can you hear me now? In the comments. Because that'd be weird if it was just John talking alone. It's like, oh man, he's having a real good conversation.
Well, what's funny? That's exactly what happened to me. Is I had my cousin Tyler. Oh, he's responding.
He said I'm very faint. All right, I'm raising it up. Can you hear me? The godlike boom.
I bet you turn off your headset and it's only recording you through the computer now.
Well, if he's hearing me faintly and he couldn't hear me before, then it had to have been something. So I just changed it
Well,
to
guys, it wouldn't be our first podcast if there wasn't at least one technical difficulty.
yeah. So I mean, I've raised it up, changed it. Hopefully, they can hear it. All right. So James is hearing both of us, and Austin's saying it's getting better.
Okay, good.
It's getting better all the time. I just had to finish that. All right. Go. So I'm gonna just raise that all the way up. Hopefully, it's not too much. It's blasting people's ear out. But let us continue. We were talking about the game night.
Yes. So I'm really hoping that it gives people an opportunity to get on and play together and kind of form this community. So I think it'll be fun. It'll be a good little event to have since we're all kind of stuck in the house anyway.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be really fun.
Yeah. Hopefully, I can find some people to do that game of Divinity, and we could get some real, D&D.
Matt Walters just joined. What's up, Slug Rock? How you doing, brother?
Oh, Matt. See, dude, you need to join me for D&D, Matt. I mean, not D&D. Divinity, Original Sin 2. You should join the party because it's the closest we're gonna get to D&D on a video game. You still hear me?
He said it's your chocolate rain voice. See, he sounds deep on my end. So it's like as soon as he got on the phone call, I was like, God, is that you?
Like, you got a turkey sandwich?
Sounds like Michael J. White and shit.
Michael J. White. He said Michael J. White. What if he was? This is Michael J. White is Teen Wolf. Like, I am smiling. No, I'm
he spawned, but he has Parkinson's.
Duh, I wasn't even gonna do that, bro. That's messed up. Yeah, we have fun here.
Yeah, we have fun here. We got to stay on topic unless we're gonna go way over it. So.
All right. So, what is the first topic we're talking about on this lovely podcast?
All right. So the main topic for today is going to be the decline and relevance of physical media versus virtual media, and that does include E3 and everything else that comes with it. So, kind of, what are your thoughts on it, Sleep?
E3 I feel is part of that, but E3 was kind of on a bumpy road before. I know the rise of digital media is kind of, taken from them because PlayStation and even Nintendo can just hold their own thing, and PlayStation straight up pulled out. But not only did they pull out, was it Jeff Keighley, the guy who does the Game Awards? He pulled out. He's a real big figure. The people that were their creative directors, they pulled out as well, and that was before the coronavirus. And
PlayStation's pulled out the last 2 or 3 years, haven't they?
Yeah, and that 2 or 3 years, and that was before the coronavirus. And E3's, and then plus the ESA, the people who run it have kind of, they've done some things over the past that, aren't very aren't very on the up and up. I believe it was 2017 when they had a leak of all people who came there, and it was just like a very stupid leak, like something that really should have been caught by them. And they've done some shady stuff in between there, and it's just, it's one of those things where E3, I think, is kind of sealing its own fate. But the digital media coming up and basically taking the cloud of physical media is a very big one, because you don't really need to come down here anymore. You don't need to physically be in this area anymore.
I mean, I tell you, it's really a changing landscape. Austin Chain, who's in the chat, he gives me grief about it all the time because I'm still one of these old school cats, still goes to midnight releases at GameStop. And, part of that is because it's like layaway and I can pay slowly and surely on my games, but also it's because I like having the physical copy still. But it's definitely a trend nationally that is changing drastically. I mean, we even have entire consoles, like the Xbox One S has an all digital edition that's coming out that doesn't even have a disc drive.
Yeah.
And it's not even just in video games. I got this is a recent report from the MPAA, which is the Motion Picture Association of America. So these are just movies.
Yeah.
I said that there's been a 48% decline in global physical media sales between 2014 and 2018. So that's almost half of the amount of physical media that was bought, and that's not even including the last 2 years has really seen the biggest bump on on the digital sales. Um, I mean, if you look at video games specifically over the past decade, so like in 2009, 80% of all game sales came from a physical disc or cartridge,
Mm-hmm.
and now and only 20% was digital back then in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
In 2017, the figures swapped, so it was 80% were
Digital?
were were digital transactions. So 80%
Jesus.
of video game purchases in 2017, mind you, so that's not even including these last 2 years,
Yeah.
have
That
all been digital.
and that's just
So I
a
mean,
recent phenomenon, but it just completely swapped because it's easier. You can get it to most people, and there's no overhead of having to, pump out all these CDs and pay for the hardware and everything like that. All the hard things. You just put it on the digital and just pay for your spot on the store, and that's all you have to pay. And
well, and stuff like the Xbox Game Pass is coming out,
yeah,
and stuff like that is really kind of is really changing this landscape even more.
and I think the
I did.
Xbox Game Pass is kind of like stepping on its own foot because you can have that on the computer and not own an Xbox.
Yeah, that is true. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, but you also have the Microsoft connection where you could play Microsoft games from your Xbox on your computer.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like I like that because the Xbox Game Pass is just a really good deal. It's just kind of on its face a really good deal. It's just the thing steps on its own foot because it's like if you have a real good computer, why would I need an Xbox?
Well, it is true, and
Yeah.
things are different. Back in the day when me and James Hill and Matt here, when we were very first starting playing on computers, that's where only consoles you had were the Nintendo, the Sega, Super Nintendo, stuff like that. So there wasn't really online gaming. So when we
Mm-hmm.
first started online gaming online, with Rogue Spear, we played the hell out of that game. And then when that game kind of phased out and we moved over to Counter Strike Source,
Mm-hmm.
I had to go and literally upgrade my entire computer. You know what I'm saying? So I had to get a new graphics card to handle Counter Strike Source, but my motherboard didn't hold that graphics card. Then I needed more RAM and I needed more this
That is
and
true.
each game it seemed like I had to update my computer. These days, you buy a computer, you're good for a while. The technology's kind of caught up with itself.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times the computer, a really high end one, is beyond the consoles. So, like your consoles have to catch up with it. And I think this digital media, man, it's just, as I was talking to, Dave the other day, not the other day, but, a while ago about that. And I was like, it's going to phase out the physical media. Not completely. You'll be able to get physical media, but the industry in itself will be a little bit phased out because everybody's going to get it digital. It's and if we had like something in like a public internet, I know that's sounds socialist or something like that. If we had public internet, then there would be almost no reason for the physical media except for people who want to collect things.
Well, if you can guarantee that people had a
Yeah,
decent and reliable internet connection, I mean,
yeah,
coming from my perspective and my profession, I mean, I see people who literally still have 3 meg internet, and that's all that's available to them in their house
yeah,
because maybe Time Warner doesn't service that area, AT&T does, but based on their distance, this is as much as we can provide them. So there's no way that you're going to be able to sit there and download one of these damn 20 gig updates on Call of Duty on your internet with 3 meg internet. You'll be there for 4 days. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's like
I mean, downloading Call
it's
of Duty in general, 'cause it's like over 100 gigs, which is like one of the biggest games of ever.
well, I mean, the writing's on the wall. I mean, I bought
Yeah.
a brand new laptop here recently that I'm on currently, and it does not have a disk drive. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like there's not even a disk drive in it. So if I buy a new piece of software, I'm going to have to do the digital download. It's just the only way to it.
Yeah.
So and I definitely foresee consoles going the same way, especially Xbox. It seems like PlayStation is kind of being more, they're still kind of hanging on to their physical media a little bit more than maybe
Yeah.
even Nintendo.
Yeah. I could tell that like with PlayStation, they want to have that option open, but at the same time, they're pretty like the PlayStation Now is nowhere near as good as the Xbox Game Pass. But if that gets better to where you can actually just rent or have games on like a streaming service, you're gonna see that physical media go like it's gonna be like an antique, something that people pick up more for collecting and
Oh,
something
I
they
mean,
can
that's
have. You know.
absolutely, bro. I mean, look how quickly Blockbuster became
Oh my
AT&T.
God, just obsolete after all the streaming services. Netflix just destroyed.
I mean, Blockbuster just dropped like that. And now Redbox are doing the same things. You can't rent video games from Redboxes anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, even some movies aren't there anymore. I mean, it's all over streaming sites. I mean, I've just recently cut the cord on cable, and we
Mm-hmm.
stream everything we have now. So I don't even have a physical cable. I mean, at work, they're trying to do away with wires altogether. They
Mm-hmm.
got this 5G technology they're really trying to push, and you're going to have a puck in your house, and you're not even going to have a wire coming to your home to power your internet.
And
It's all going to be.
I
I
think
mean,
that's awesome, but I still like the safety of a hard wire. The assuredness of a hard wire.
oh,
Like
I mean, oh yeah, absolutely.
and
I'm the same way. If I'm hooking my Xbox up, I want to.
yeah, the same thing with my PlayStation. If I'm going to be online or anything like that, I want a hard wire because it's just a better connection. I mean, once we can assure that it's like everybody's getting a T1 connection or some shit like that, then go ahead and throw it away. But until then, they're just gonna have to need that because remember when the Xbox 360 came out and they were kind of doing that whole you won't own your own games thing, and then they had to press up off that with the DRM stuff. That was a big thing then too because a lot of people, like you said, do not have the capability of that internet, so they wouldn't even
Yeah.
be able to have the Xbox. What's it called? Was it 360 or was the Xbox One? I'm sorry, their Xbox One wouldn't be really good for them. They wouldn't be able to enjoy it like that because they didn't have a proper internet.
Well, it's frustrating to me. I mean, you get the
Yeah,
game, you still got to download it. You still got to sit there and wait forever, and
yeah.
I don't know. It ends up getting that part of the Xbox is annoying. But hold up for a minute. James says, if I put on my Bose wireless headset, would I be able to talk to you guys? No, no, James, you would not be able to. We are actually streaming a conversation through Discord into
Yeah.
Streamlabs on OBS to stream it. So no, you wouldn't be able to unless you joined in on the call as a guest in the
Yeah, you would
future.
have to be added into the call for that. And
Austin Shane's trying to get in on it. Just send me a message.
let me in this
In,
conversation.
Brother,
one thing.
we will definitely we will definitely be having guests in the future. Austin, we'll definitely have you on in the future for this one. I mean, we're not too far from the end of it anyway, and this is our very first one, so we'll definitely start having guests on each week, especially once we're able to start mingling again.
One thing Austin
And then,
said earlier. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and I'm just reading some of these comments. Here comes Matt over calling us. He would love to be on this now.
But I don't
He's
know.
probably taking notes right now.
It's like, hey man, it's a high level nerding right here. You need to get on it. Anyway, it's like Austin. What he said earlier about simulation sports being on the rise too because of digital, and that's another thing. Like what we're getting into esports is almost completely because of the digital landscape. You know.
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I have my good friend over at the Level Up Experience. Shout out to the Level Up Experience. Um, he's talked about this at lengths about how some of these companies in the change of times need to really get with it. Um, you know, I watched a stream the other day that had two different NBA players who were kind of trash at 2K. They weren't very good, but they were playing each other on their respective teams. You know what I mean? So because the season got canceled, but people still
Yeah.
want to watch sports so bad that I mean. I've seen memes and jokes about hadn't putting the computers on, making them face each other because they want to watch sports so bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Did you hear about that thing where NASCAR had a bunch of racers just doing the virtual race, and like people watched it and they actually liked it because it was basically just like NASCAR. The graphics were good and they just basically did a virtual race.
I think it's something we're going to see a lot more in the
Yeah.
future. I mean, and it depends. This whole COVID thing could blow over, and we could be back to business as usual and never really think about it again. But
Well, if
when
it's
when you've been, if it's, I think Andy Bashir, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't watch the thing myself, but based on some of the Facebook posts I've seen, which I have not verified this, which is not like me, but I have seen multiple people who are typically pretty trustworthy with their information, talking about Andy suggesting 3 months more of social distancing,
Yeah.
self quarantining for
I
it.
mean, that's what a
So
lot
I
of the
mean,
doctors are saying too. That it's gonna be like maybe till November.
if you got 3 more months of this stuff, I mean, people are going to go crazy. I mean, that's going to get into the football season. I mean, that's really going to start messing with stuff. I mean, it's already changing
Mm-hmm.
sports in general. I mean, not just esports. I mean, I think esports can probably do pretty well. I mean, they're not going to get ticket sales from their events and stuff like that, but they could essentially sell tickets for online gaming. I mean, you could
Yeah.
have an online tournament and sell tickets for spectators. I mean, people would buy that.
Yeah, you can literally
That's
have,
how.
because have people subscribe to it or whatever like that because it's also views and people
Oh, I
giving
mean,
it.
that's how hungry people are for this stuff right now. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So, I mean,
I mean, I think because of this COVID-19 thing, you're gonna see maybe a lot of virtual things rise that probably would have took a little bit longer if we weren't forced to be, to be inside. But since we're forced to be inside, you might see a lot of virtual things take off. Like
we already have. I mean,
yeah,
Netflix has the party watching thing that they have, the watch party
yeah,
new feature that they have, which is really cool. Where you can get multiple people watching the show together, and you can comment and type and talk while it's watching.
yeah.
I mean,
See,
I think the writing's on the wall. I mean, this is
mhm.
where people are going to start going. And if anything, even if the COVID-19 kind of blows away and life is as usual, kind of starts back up again, people are still going to see the value in doing it this way.
Mhm.
I think these businesses are going to see that the operation costs are going to drop by like 80% when you start streaming things and doing it
Yeah,
more on
and
online
having it
media.
all virtual and everything like that, dude. Like my job right now is 99% at home now. Like 99% is all of them are at home, and honestly, they say they're doing more than they were before. People were there. Like their
I mean,
product.
think about it from Humana's standpoint. And I know,
Yeah,
granted, tons and tons, way more people still work at a physical location for Humana than work at home, I'm sure.
yeah,
But think about Humana; they don't even have to own a building and pay all that outrageous downtown rent when they
yeah.
could just send all their workers and have them work outside
The
or work from
electricity
home. I mean,
bill alone, it's done. It's basically given off to the employee at their own home, and that's not even a lot. Honestly, I say like I know it wouldn't go that way because people just don't. Not everybody wants to work at home. Not everybody likes that.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, like he is not. He is getting along with it, but she doesn't like really like working in a home and everything like that. So I could see it's probably not going to go over well. But I think they should just give everybody the option to stay. Why not? If they
Well,
want
it's,
to.
especially now. I mean, and that's very job specific. Like my job, there's no way in the world I could do my job from home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but even if I had your job, I like looking forward to going home.
Mm-hmm.
That's what gets me through my long day is knowing come home and to me and yell daddy and give me a big hug. That's kind of the highlight of my day. Is when I'm knowing that I'm going to be going home at a certain time or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
working at home for me, I'd be ready to get out of the house all the time if I
You
work from
see,
home.
like the thing about it for me is not more or less coming home. It's just my day at work is so much smoother when I don't have to deal with anybody else. Like I don't have to deal with pettiness. I have to deal with Susan and her fucking dolls on the table. I don't have to do any of that. You know?
Randy over in cubicle 3 smells like shit.
You smell like Gouda cheese, bruh. Go home, take a shower. Like, bro, like I don't have to deal with all that, and I can sit there, have a nice coffee, turn on whatever I want to turn on, maybe play a nice slow RPGs that doesn't, ruin my production or anything like that. I mean, hey, Pornhub's giving a week of premium for free right now, you know?
Well, it's interesting to me. I mean, like I said, the writing is on the wall. Everyone's going towards digital media over physical media. It's just what's
Yeah.
happening. I did see this interesting article from a site called Inside Hook, and they're talking about why millennials are refusing to let go of physical media.
Mm-hmm.
And as much to our regret, we are millennials. and it's similar to me. You know, there's something about going to GameStop on the night of a release and getting that physical copy in my hand
Mm-hmm.
that is just kind of rewarding to me. Um, you know, like Austin does it all the time. Like we'll get the game and Austin's playing it, an hour or two before me because he can start his download earlier. Then with me, I have to come home and put my disc in. But millennials, for whatever reason, they kind of have this nostalgic. I'll just read a little bit. I don't want to sit here and read from an article on our podcast, but
Well,
I was
yeah.
talking about how millennials are notorious for killing things. The power lunch, diamond cells, breakfast cereal, but all this obsession over what this generation isn't buying tends to overshadow the fact that in an increasingly digital world, they are by and large the ones keeping physical media alive. So, it goes on about if you help anyone between 24 and 40 move, you know that they still have books and records and CDs and DVDs,
Mm-hmm.
which is my family. I mean, we joke. I think it was you actually. Me and Tamara were talking to you, and we were like, we're talking about someone breaking into our car, and the conversation was like, well, the only thing they can steal is CDs. We just got a bunch of CDs in there. And you were like, CDs?
No, I
You
remember.
still have CDs?
I remember when you were trying to make a mixtape for her birthday, and you came over and it was like, "Man, you don't got no CDs on you." I was like, "Dude, this 2011, bro. No one got no CDs. Like, like who are you kidding? Like, but yeah, no. Like, what you're saying is, I can feel that because our generation, the millennial generation, is really big on nostalgia. We are like nostalgia whores. You can sell nostalgia to us all day because check it. Like they just dropped 5 remakes of games that came out in the 90s. And
Oh, the most popular games out right now
yeah, and they're the
is
most
all
popular
remakes.
games. The most
Same thing.
popular games.
Same things with movies. They're
Yeah.
remaking every single movie that you see, and now they're having success again.
Yeah, and we
You
and
know,
but our generation eats that up, man. If they drop another Thundercats, it could be utter garbage and our generation would get in it.
well, you saw. I mean, they have butchered a few.
Yeah, they have. Like the thing is, they've remade stuff so many times and resold it back. Look, Nintendo's entire existence is Mario and Zelda remade for us.
Right, and that is true. That is true. They've been remaking the same games for years,
Yeah, pretty much.
and I eat them up though. Still, I mean, hell, this Breath of the Wild is one of the best games I've ever played. So.
Yeah, they're good. They're not bad at all. But we are just so hungry for nostalgia for some reason.
Well, they, for me, it's also a sense of security. Tamara uses cloud a lot, so like, everything's through our phones. That's just the life we live in nowadays. Is everything's through our phone. So like both of our daughters, their entire lives are in the photo albums in her phone.
Hmm.
We try to print off physical copies, and I do print off more physical copies than probably the average person these days. But that's because all it takes is for her phone to go out or
Hmm.
the cloud to crash or whatever, and every single piece of media that we own is gone.
Yeah.
So I really like having at least a junk drive, or a CD. Like I got her this thing called Meet Eevee, um, and it's basically a personal cloud for your home. But at least it's a physical port that has our stuff in it. But I
Hmm.
mean, hell, I'm 34. What are you, 35 or 36?
36.
So I mean, even in our lifetime, think about we went through and we didn't really get to see eight. I mean, maybe 8-track was on the very end of ours, but it was pretty much the cassette,
Yeah.
the CD.
And now,
Then it went to the jump drive. Now it's just aux cords. You know what I'm saying? So it's
yeah,
all it's
now it's just literally floating in the air, and it just need a device to pick it out.
so you don't even have a physical copy of your stuff. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
pay to keep it in the cloud or whatever. So it's
That
to
is.
me, I don't feel the security of having the actual physical copy right there. If you have a digital version of on your Xbox and your Xbox craps out on you, you know, I feel more security, and I know there's ways around it, but I have more security knowing that I have the disc. So
Yeah.
when I get my new Xbox, I can just pop in my disc, and then bam, I have my game again.
And honestly, that's another argument for physical media because there's the phenomenon of you just not owning anything. Like people just, like in the future giving out subscriptions to their stuff. but you never truly owning it. Like,
Thanks, James. James, I appreciate you coming by and checking it out, man.
yeah, thanks,
I'll let you, bro.
James. Like, but like so basically they can just have a subscription to this game, and you got to pay $5 a month, but you can never own the game.
Yeah.
You
Well, I mean,
know?
that's essentially the Game Pass,
Yeah, and
and that's essentially what it's based on.
and that is ingenious. But like, the thing is, you could always buy the game separately. But if it got to a point where developers were just giving out subscriptions to their game instead of letting you have the game, like, that's the one thing I fear with digital releases. Because with digital releases, you don't really own that. They could take that away from you. Even if you bought it and it's on your system, they can take that away from you. They can take stuff out of it. They can do it all online and virtually. They've done it before.
Yeah, well, I think we're only going to see it continue on this trend going forward. I don't think it's going to backtrack at this point. I think companies have too much money invested into this digital media, and I really think that it's only going to continue to go. I think that there is definitely value in it. Definitely see why people are doing it.
I think there's definitely gonna need some regulation in the future, because I could just see people taking advantage of it so hard. You know,
Yeah.
but yes.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they're not already doing that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, EA, EA exists.
Well, so man, we're kind of up against our time. We've already met our hour, so we definitely blew through this. So let's go ahead and do our closing segment called "All right, bro." Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'll go first because mine isn't like what's it called? One of those "all right, bro," but like more of a "all right, bro." You know, kind of thing like that.
Okay.
But
Okay,
basically,
I can dig it. I can dig it.
I found this on the news back when we were going to do this the first time before all this happened. And it is basically a group called Reporters Without Borders is using Minecraft to see as this sneak censored works through international borders. So they're using Minecraft to hold like documents and stuff like that that's been banned by governments and stuff, and they're putting them in this library that they created in Minecraft on their own server. And people are making like dummy servers and stuff like that in case, you know, governments try to come and try to do that. So it's kind of moving around and stuff. It's pretty cool. Like, they have a full library and documents written plain out in the library. So you can take the documents and literally read them.
All right, bro. All right, bro. I see you. Power to the people. Fight the man any way we can. I like it. It's ingenious. I mean, people aren't going to think, oh, it's Minecraft. You know what I mean? They think that's a kid's game. You know, it's just something for kids or whatever. Exactly. So,
but you know, Minecraft is one of the most popular games in the world.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. All right, well, mine's kind of more of the typical what we talked about at the first.
Yeah.
So, a man in Hawaii is suing a video game developer, saying that the game Lineage 2 was so addictive that he is unable to bathe, dress himself, communicate with others, and wake up during the day. 51-year-old Craig Smallwood is suing South Korean video game firm NCSoft Corp for a number of charges, including unfair and deceptive trade practices, and accuses the company of causing extreme and serious emotional distress and depression. He says the multiplayer online role-playing game made him spend 3 weeks in the hospital, and that he currently requires therapy 3 times a week. The paper reports that earlier this month, a judge dismissed charges of misrepresentation and deceit, unfair and deceptive trade practices, and intentional infliction of emotional distress and punitive damages. However, the company still faces charges of defamation, negligence, gross negligence, and negligent infliction of emotional distress. Smallwood claims that he spent more than 20,000 hours playing the medieval-themed role-playing game from 2004 to 2009, and that he received no warning from the company that the game could be so addictive.
All right, bro. Like, bro. Like, some people can't be given things. Like, because it's like saying, hey, you didn't tell me if I kept eating steak that I would get a fucking heart attack. You know, like,
You didn't tell me if I jumped off this building, I would fall to my death.
yeah, you're sitting there arguing to God, like, hey, fucker. Like, I thought you were supposed to save me. Yeah, like, it's, wow. Like, wow, dude. Like, because the thing is, there is predatory practices in games, but not showering and not just sitting there, bro.
All I'm saying is I have seen Lineage 2 personally, and it ain't like they sprinkle crack in that shit.
Yeah.
It's not that good of a game.
Yeah, it's not. But then I mean, let's be real. Warcraft. That game looks like garbage. I'm just going to say for nowadays. Back in the day it was fine. But now it looks like garbage, but there are still people that are on WoW like 24/7.
That is true.
You know.
There's still people play Lineage 2. I mean, I can't front when I played Rogue Spear. I mean, I literally stayed on it for days and then.
Yeah.
You know, the whole situation with Halo 2. I'll never forget that moment on Halo 2 of when I got completely freaking embarrassed in Dupree Hall on Halo 2 that one time because I was this real big shot first person shooter gamer on a computer, and I was really good and ranked in the world and all this stuff, but I never played on a console. So I came to college and they embarrassed me in Dupree Hall on that console for Halo 2. So for my winter break, I went to a pawn shop and bought a tube TV, the original Xbox, and Halo 2. And the only thing I did my entire winter break, much to my dad's displeasure, was sit there and play Halo 2 the entire winter break. And then, of course, came back and whooped all their asses. But
that's how you do it, bro.
I've put some good time into video games before I was married with kids, so I can't hate on it too much. But 20,000 hours, bro.
Like
this man spent time in the hospital and shit.
Like, bro, 20,000 hours is like, bro, like, when did you eat? Like, when did you like he had to put.
I started getting blisters on my fingers, so it's over for me.
I think he probably like put in, one of those, like they put something into his veins or some shit. What's that called? Not a decatheter. Like he probably had one of those too. Like,
so you had to get up and pee.
He was like, no, I gotta level up, baby. I gotta.
From the sounds of it, I don't think.
What? Say it again. You dropped out.
I said from the sounds of it, I don't think he called anybody baby.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of obvious, you can't sugarcoat that one. If he's 20,000 hours on Lineage 2, like that means his baby must have been like one of those pillows with the anime girls on it, the waifus on it. Like, yeah, that's...
No. It was what are those old things that we used to have? They're like little pets, and you had to keep it alive.
A Tamagotchi.
Yeah. Only thing he called baby was his Tamagotchi.
It's all right, baby. They don't understand you.
Well, cool, guys. Well, guys, this concludes our very first podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, we do have the to kind of get off and rambling and stuff, but we will definitely fine tune this whole podcast thing as we go on. Keep in mind we're doing this remotely from my house and from his house, so we're not even actually in the same physical location. So
yeah, and leave in the comments, quality and everything. Make sure they hear us both and things are just going smoothly. Just never be afraid to let us know in the comments because that just helps us make the adjustments for next time.
Absolutely. And moving forward, we're trying to get a schedule, probably a Sunday night weekly podcast. So if you guys, whoever's listening in, this want to join us on Sundays, please feel free. We'd love to have you, and we comments and ways, let us know how we can get better. We will be having guests on. We'll be having all kinds of different people in the industry, friends who are knowledgeable, who are good conversationalists, and we'll have them on and picking their as well. So if you guys have any topics that you would like us to cover, if you have any things that we can do to make this podcast better, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're always trying to grow. We're always trying to become better. We want to make these podcasts golden for all you guys. So I hope you guys had as much fun as we had making it, and we appreciate your time.
Yeah, we will see y'all later, and don't forget, come out to the game night on Friday. Well, not come out, stay in your house. stay your ass
Yes.
home. But
Stay your ass at home.
get on the Discord, hook up, see if we can get some games going. All right, guys.
Yeah.
You all be good.
All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy, man.
All right.